Yeah.
No.
Okay. That was Amy.
Personal.
No, thank you. You know what I could do? I can just go live right now.
No, no.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Podolsky Method podcast. I'm your creator and host, Coach Ilya. I'm a certified public accountant. I'm a level 4 certified USA hockey coach and elite hockey instructor for the New York Junior Rangers programming. I also run a skate shopping shop called Sharp Skate New York. I'd like to remind you guys of the show's sponsors and friends. For those of you who are interested in trying out hockey for the first time, check out the Junior Rangers programming. We continue to kick off. Last year, over 6,500 kids went through our programs. We have over 80 coaches on staff. It is an amazing program, very affordable for all those who are trying for the first time. Make sure for those hockey geeks out there, if you're looking for some gear, check out How is Hockey and get 10% off with the code PODOLSKIY10. That's Podolsky 10. Of course, our sponsor, Print Only with Us, a full printing shop in New York City and Florida. If you're looking for t-shirts, hats, you want to print a metal poster of yourself and hang it on your wall, they're amazing and always willing to help. And finally, Workgate Hockey for your protection for your teeth if you are a hockey player and love to wear a visor. Today, I have two special guests. It's a double feature, so we didn't get a lot of those, but this is fun. I have Seva and Roshen with me today.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Yeah, Seva is an actor. He's an author. He was a K1 champion. He held multiple titles in Muay Thai and martial arts, and now he's coaching and getting ready for a new bout. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we get into the show. And Roshan here, she's a rhythmic gymnastics coach, a dance teacher, fitness trainer, um, flexibility expert, which is interesting. We'll talk about that. Ballet instructor, event coordinator, and
I do
she
a lot of
also
stuff.
yeah dabbles in some social media marketing. So a little bit of everything, right? So
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna kick it over to you guys. If you guys could talk a little bit about yourselves and where you guys come from.
Ladies first.
What?
Wow. Go for it.
All right. My name is Roshen Shapiro. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Spent a little bit of time overseas, resided in Germany, went to high school there as a transfer student. Gonna take it back to today. Today, I'm a full time dance teacher at a very brand new program at Matchpoint NYC, our Bensonhurst location. We're teaching itty bitty babies from 2 years old to already the big divas, 16 years old. Great new program, try it out. Rhythmic gymnastics, still into it. Trying to do all about that dance
Yeah.
and
Seva?
all about that serum. Uh-huh.
Is it my turn?
I'm
Yeah.
also life coaching Seva Berkolayko over here.
Yeah.
It takes up a lot of my time.
And she's also my flexibility instructor. She actually comes to the gym to stretch me out a few times a week. So she's actually helping me get ready for the next bout,
Mm-hmm.
whenever that may be.
Yeah, for those listening, so Seva and I actually know each other from many years ago. When I was a young stud, probably about 14 or so. So we both
Sounds right.
yeah we both trained in Borodins gym, Muay
I
Thai,
still do. I'm still
right?
there. I mean, I just came back, but
Right.
Well, Seva's training me too.
Oh, there you go. So it's a
Teaching me how
mutual
to be
training.
a dangerous fighter.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about you and where you come from, and
uh, there's a lot to say, so I'm gonna try to make it a little short and sweet. I came here when I was 12 from Belarus with my family, mom, dad, sister, and grandma. I started martial arts at the age of 7, I guess. I mean, I started with Greco-Roman wrestling, hand-to-hand combat. When I came to the States, it was karate, kickboxing, and then at 17, I started fighting in Muay Thai. And growing up as a kid, like my favorite hobby back in the old country was like we fought till the first blood. That was our game of choice. You know, we would just have like 10 guys, make a circle, and we just go at it one on one till you drop the first blood. So that was like one of my favorite games as I was growing up. So when I came here and went to Reynolds High School, which is now Bay Academy, and it was not like Bay Academy, I learned how to fight real quick. I was the only kid who didn't speak a word of English in a regular class by accident. That gave me a good lesson going forward. My fist did most of the talking. Then, at 17, I went pro, thanks to Vladimir Borodin. And I remained active until 24. And that's when my career was, took a dive. I'm gonna make the story a little short because I don't want to get like really, really into it. Basically, I got an injury. I sustained a bullet wound, and I couldn't fight for a few years. And by the time I healed up, I already went to the, to the left, towards the left field. So it's like streets, fighting outside, you know, bunch of stupid stuff, you know,
yeah,
excessive drinking, drugs, nothing I'm proud of, which actually helped me land in prison. And after 7 years stretch, I came out and went on another run for a few more years. And I'm not trying to glorify party lifestyle in any way. I'm actually trying to do the opposite right now because thanks to my better half over here, I've been sober for past 6 months now. She, she dealt a lot with me in the past 3 years. You know, I'm thanks to her, I'm sitting here talking to you guys right now.
Well,
So
thanks to you, I'm sitting here too, talking to
we
everyone.
it's a mutual thankful situation.
yeah,
Anyway, so right now I train at Borodins. I've been training for the past 6 months. I'm feeling great. I'm like 65% back. I'm thinking to fight somewhere in April. But my main goal is to help kids stay the fuck away from the streets, basically. And I try to be a mentor to them. And we have a lot of trouble kids coming to the gym, even Vladimir's gym. And a lot of them just keep a lot of anger inside of them. And I like I can see those kids through. I try to I spot them. I try to talk to them. I get in their heads to find out how I could help them. You know, some of them are orphans, some of them also ex-users. A lot of them are troubled kids, and just not even inside the gym. Like outside the neighborhood, inside, around the neighborhood. You know, my
you know,
main goal right now is just lead by example, basically. And
yeah, and I think it's and I really appreciate you sharing your journey a little bit because I think uh, we don't talk about it enough in terms of where athletes come from. This is why I started the podcast, is because I wanted to share those stories, from the beginning to the end, and then ultimately think about how do we do it better, this time around, right? Through
absolutely.
some of the mistakes we lived through or we had to go through, right, as kids. Can you talk a little bit about, your parents and how were they supportive of you, being a fighter, or was it something that they didn't want you to do? What
It's
was that
funny.
like?
It's funny you ask, actually. Well, my mom hates it to this day. You know, she can't understand how her son gets hit and enjoys it. She wants to make sure I ate 5 times a day. She doesn't want to see me get hit. But my dad, on the other hand, he's the one who, introduced me to sports at the age of 7. Started Greco-Roman wrestling thanks to him, and just from then on. But out of 47 fights that I had in the professional arena, my father did not come once to see me fight. Not because he doesn't love me. Don't get me wrong. He loves me very much. And you would always see the fight afterwards. But he would never be able to step, into the room to see his son fight, because it would just be too much for him. Like nerve wracking. I wouldn't even let him go. I would just bring him the tape, hopefully with another knockout. And here, Dad, check this out for a second round, as always. I
Right.
was a show off when I was in my 20s.
Right.
Yeah. I'm trying to be more humble now. But yeah, right now they're less supportive. I'm not 24 anymore. I'm 42 next week. I feel like I'm 24. You know, I might look like I'm not 42, but definitely not 24 anymore. So yeah, like
Yeah.
injuries, gotta watch out for those, especially now,
Yeah.
especially in the gym that we go to. You know how that is. It's sparring is almost 5 days a week, and a lot of youngsters they want to bank it out. Me personally, I don't have a problem with that, but like, can you sustain, this rhythm for 5 days a week? I don't know. I
Right.
know I go to therapy twice, 3 times a week. You know, my shoulder hurts.
Yeah.
You know, potato cut here, something there, meniscus, whatever. But yeah, I guess it's the price you pay for the times skip from the gym.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's very
When are you
fair.
coming back, by the way? Let me ask you a question. When are you coming back to the
Well,
gym?
most of my time is in hockey rinks at this time. Like, so, my week, outside of my day job, I am, coaching about 3 days a week. I skate myself about 3 days a week. I try to
That's
hit
so
the
cool.
gym like 3, 4 times a week. And then weekends, I have three little boys. They're 11, 9, and 4. So the 11 and 9 year old,
Awesome.
Also,
God
thank
bless
you.
you.
Yeah, so the 11 and 9 they play travel hockey, and so, for example, last Saturday I woke up at 6 in the morning. By 7:30, I was skating with some of my friends. By 9, I'm done, and then I'm off to coaching. Both of them had 2 games each, so it was 4 games for them, and then I had to do junior rangers learn to play event. So I got home about 9 o'clock at night. So
you're
from 6 in
basically
the morning
trying to
to
tell
5.
me you got your hands full. I get it.
Yes, but I do have to make another appearance, and I have to give a little shout out to my brother Alex. I don't know if you remember him, but he's the one who really got me into Borodin and got me into
Yeah,
martial arts. It's interesting because on this show I talk a lot about sport being very generational. Like you do it, and then your kids do it. And they
absolutely.
usually do the same
Mm-hmm.
thing you did, right? So if you're a dancer, they'll probably want to try dancing. If you're a hockey player,
Mm-hmm.
they'll try hockey, and so it's kind of natural progression when it comes to sport. And it's actually rare that you see like a father being a boxer and then the kid becomes a football player.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
you tend to follow in the footsteps.
True,
Yeah,
true.
and Russia, I know you have a daughter as well, and
Two
she
daughters.
2 daughters. Are they
Mm-hmm.
both athletes?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And diverse athletes.
Oh, excellent. What do
Two.
they do?
It's easier
Um,
to say what they don't do
yeah.
than to.
So, I mean, it's interesting how you put that last subject that you mentioned, that our children follow in our footsteps. My youngest daughter, has been excelling in several different sports within this last year and showing like real potential. Um, and her sport of choice at the moment is actually Muay Thai.
At
So
Borodins,
at Borodins,
clearly.
yeah, and she's thank you, Borodins, Seva, Zhenya, Simon, all of them, the team, Max, Alan. I don't want to forget anyone. I mean, they've done a great job with the small. I mean, you look at her; she's this tiny little 7-year old girl, but she could really throw a punch, and she could take a punch.
She could throw a kick too.
She could, yeah.
Like Andy
That
Hart,
being
next kick.
said, I'm my children's main personal coach no matter what they do. So if I have to learn something new and adapt to what's going on today, TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to make sure to master it because I want to teach it to them. Because I don't, not that they don't have more teachers than just me, but I definitely want to be their main critic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Pretty
started,
good.
I'm right now working on getting a Muay Thai coaching license for myself with the help of Borodin and his sponsorships and Seva teaching me how to hold pads.
We're not there yet, but we'll get there soon.
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing right now. And, who knows, maybe Sasha will be Seva's prodigy.
Maybe. It's supposed to be an Olympic sport this year or next.
I mean, she's not quitting everything else that she's doing, but she's definitely starting to take it more seriously since we've noticed
and she wants to fight.
And she wants to fight. She comes there, she's fighting, she's laughing the whole time. She's smiling. She's getting hit, she's smiling. You know what I mean? We're in shock.
I'm not.
Yeah.
That's
I absolutely love that because I think, coaching hockey and talking to a lot of parents, there's a lot of this, like, coaching from the side, like backseat coaching, I like to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
they kind of like,
know.
they never played the game, they never did the sport, yet they watched the hockey game somewhere and they will
never
coach
seen
there.
those.
Right. Well, in your case, they watch the fight on TV and then they come back and say, "Hey, you got to go 1-2." Every time. That's what you do. And did you see Mike Tyson duck? You got to do that. Do whatever. And they're looking at it and they see, they think they're proficient until you actually get into, a sparring match.
Yeah, like Tyson said, everybody got to blend until they get hit in the face.
Exactly. And then it's very different when you actually in it. And in hockey, if you're going in the corner and the guy's going 30 miles an hour to kill you right behind you, as soon as you touch that puck, or in martial arts, when you have a guy who's throwing bombs at you and you gotta be able to take it, or dodge or do something, right? And you don't have time to think, right? You don't have time to think. It's like it's coming, you know and it's very different. So I love what you just said, that you actually go in and experience it yourself. So you
Yeah,
can understand and teach it.
I had to.
Yeah, that's an amazing approach. And so I think it's like seeing her is probably like, like a light goes on. You're like, yes, this
Yeah.
one. I got one.
She definitely hypes me up. She's my cheerleader.
I am. I wake him up every single morning.
That's true. If not,
every single, he is annoyed as well, but I'll still, and I'll start at like 7 a.m. and then 8 a.m. and then it's like, no, it's not happening. You're getting up. You're getting up right now.
Yeah.
Sometimes she watches me fight when when I'm tired and she knows I'm tired and she thinks I'm gonna slack in the gym. She will come deliberately. She will come deliberately there to stretch me, because I'm like a few inches away from a split already. Thanks to her, by the way. I never thought I'd be able to do it again, but a few months down the line, I'm almost there.
I don't go easy on him.
When she knows I'm about to take it easy on myself, she would come in the gym to watch me fight, knowing now I have to go all out. Now I can't quit,
I think it's cute.
It's very motivational. It's not that it's not that I really I do want to impress in a way. It's like I don't want to get hit with you watching me get hit. I don't want to see you get hit.
But you make it look good.
I don't want you to see me getting hit. Right. So I gotta be on my A game.
Okay. All right.
So let me take you back a little bit to our earlier conversation, Seva, about your journey and what you've gone through. Because I think you lived a life that most people watch on TV in a movie kind of thing.
Yeah.
with all the things that you've done, and if you can talk a little bit about how you took that wrong path and emerged on the other side of it.
Mm.
How even after all these years you're able to kind of like
Be normal.
no, like regroup yourself and come back
Yeah.
stronger and
Well,
smarter and just ready for it.
I have a good support team.
That's one right there.
Listen, my family had also a lot to do
Yes,
with it.
it was
A
a
really good
team. It
support
was a
team.
team effort.
But how I went to the left, it's a funny story actually. I mean, it's not that funny, but I tried to be a hero. I'll make the long story short. I tried to be a hero. I tried to stop a robbery. My friends were there. I didn't want anybody to get hurt. I took a bullet for the team. That stopped my career as a professional fighter. I couldn't make a fist for like over 3 years. And honestly, I can't say that the fact that destroyed me, but it hit me over the head pretty bad. That's when I just stopped caring because I couldn't come to the gym. I couldn't use my left hand, which was, as you remember, was my throw. That's my throwing hand.
Right.
It's fine now. It's actually better than ever. It healed up pretty well. But at that point, to me, it's like my my life was basically like over for me as an athlete, and I was on top of my game. I took it pretty
Yeah.
hard. Started drinking. There was some cocaine in the mix. Made some stupid decisions. Stole a diamond truck. At gunpoint. Did almost 8 years in the feds. Came out better than ever, though. I'm not gonna lie.
The book cover.
I wrote a book in prison. It's called Fit, Healthy, and Lean for Life. I'm 152 pounds on the cover, and basically talks about nutrition and all the exercises that I just utilized, throughout the years. And I got in really good shape. And back when I was 24 years old, my last fight, I fought one of the top Thai guys, Jang Sanan, and I was winning. It was a main event in a boxing ballroom. I got into an accident that day also, but nevertheless, I lost the fight. He took my leg out. I was like 2 rounds away from the win. And after that, this incident happened. So it was a lot too much at once.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I gained like 50 pounds after the incident. And yeah, I was I just stopped caring. I was a party animal. And when I came out of prison, I was in a pretty good shape at first. And then, life got in the way, I guess. You know, Obstacles here and there, and I started taking the easy way out again. Started using, started drinking, and finally got my shit together. And now I'm here. You know,
So how did you turn it around? Like was there some one event or was it
there
multiple?
was
Rock bottom.
there was an event that
Mm-hmm.
I really don't want to talk about the event,
Okay.
but the event made me snap out of it and be like, get a hold of yourself, get your shit
Right.
together. And I did. And she was next to me the whole time, supporting me, gave me a lot of motivational support. And it worked, got rid of all my bad habits.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so important. What you talked about, throughout this whole conversation is about your support system and how important that is having the right people in your life. And people
Mhm.
kind of tend to underestimate that when they're parenting athletes, right? When as a parent, a lot of times we try to overprotect the child and maybe alleviate some of the good points or good pressure points that can help develop them or help support them. So I love that you talk about that support system and how important that is to and also in your story I just want to point out that it's never too late. It's you, like you said, you're 42, but you're on top of your game now, and you're back, and you're getting ready for another fight. I mean,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah. I just, I hope the plan works out accordingly. You never know. It's all up to the men upstairs,
Right.
as we all know. But I'm definitely gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
Oh, We lost connection for a second. Oh, I think you guys are back.
I lost connection. Somebody,
Yep.
I apologize. Yeah,
No
can you hear
worries.
me?
Yep. Yep.
All right.
So yeah, so I guess next question I had for you is if you can talk a little bit about the pressure of being an athlete, and just performing at the highest levels or at the top. I guess it's for both of you guys. Talk a little bit about um, how much of that pressure is driven by parents versus your peers or the industry or even each other.
I mean, in my case, I was always pushing myself to keep fighting. Like my parents really didn't want me to keep going. And
Yeah,
almost instantly when I went pro, they just wanted me to quit. They don't want to, in their mind, a nice Jewish boy fighting in the ring.
right.
We brought you to America for what? For you to fight? Go
Right.
become a doctor. Yeah, go become a doctor. It's not for everybody. You know what I mean? There's enough
Um,
doctors in the world. So yeah, I would push myself. Especially if I would lose a bout, then I would push myself. Although I'm not gonna lie, I am lazy. But when I really have to get ready, when the opposition is that strong, when it's like almost when you know it's a challenge, then you gotta get in shape. There's no you can't go around it unless you want trying to get your ass handed to you. So this
right.
whole professional fighting thing, I wouldn't recommend it to my kids, honestly. It's a
Right.
lot of pressure on your body, on your mind. It's like you gotta cut weight. Almost everybody has to cut weight. You starve yourself sometimes. You have to do extra cardio. You wear yourself out. You can't be intimate. I mean, you shouldn't be intimate for a few months before the fight with your significant other. Is it fair for them? Is it fair for you? But they're part of
Yeah.
the team.
Yeah.
Everybody takes it on the chin. There's a lot of sacrifices. Certain things you can't eat. Certain things you can't do. A lot of things actually you can't do. You gotta be disciplined, you know? You gotta be mentally strong for all this pressure. You really gotta want it.
Yeah, I love that point you made because I think a lot of people look at professional athletes and they think that it looks easy, or they don't really realize how much work that takes. You know,
For
I s-
sure. For
I
sure.
saw um recently one of the actors. He does jujitsu, and
Keanu
he
Reeves?
won.
No? Oh,
No,
I know who you're talking about.
you know what I'm talking about? He was
Tom.
in Bane and
I
Tom
know exactly
Hardy.
who you're talking about.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he won the gold medal in the jiu-jitsu competition, and people people didn't even know he was
Nobody knew.
a
Yeah,
fighter.
he kept
Yeah,
the confident. Yeah, DNDL.
right.
Was so
So
modest.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty amazing that you come in and you kind of like you have that kind of dedication and that kind of aspiration, I guess. And Russia, maybe you could talk a little bit about from your perspective, because I know in the gymnastics and dance world, the pressure is absolutely immense, and also the athletes are pretty young when they retire from the professional
I
scene as well.
strongly recommend rhythmic gymnastics and dance or ballet to all young females.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, let's talk about
not
if they get to a
um,
professional level. What does that look like?
even on a professional level, recreational, professional. Oh, I mean, it's it's not as dangerous as Muay Thai is.
But she definitely keeps
It's
her kids in check, like all her
yeah,
students.
you know what I mean.
If
I
they
mean,
need to
they're
lose weight, she puts them on a diet.
but just for it to be healthy and
Right.
to look good. It's an
Yeah.
aesthetic sport. You want to look good
Yeah.
and you want to
Look good doing it.
look good doing it.
I love that.
Look
No.
like gymnastica,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
I mean, even that first word, художественная,
Yeah.
it's aesthetics. It's
Yeah.
beauty. It's grace. A dancer is known to be beautiful, and she moves beautiful.
Yeah.
And definitely наши девочки отличаются. Our girls, definitely, there's a significant difference between how they stand, how they sit, how they eat, than the girl who didn't get that upbringing.
Yeah. And
Yeah, the pressure.
It's just there's a lot of benefit.
Mm-hmm.
but it
So
kind of goes back
There's
to
a
what you
lot
were
of
saying.
benefit.
It kind of
And
goes back.
go
Sorry,
ahead.
I was gonna say it goes back to that what you guys were saying about discipline and how much discipline it takes, whether it's martial arts or hockey or
On a
dance.
competitive level, it takes a lot of
for
discipline.
sure,
Even on a recreational level, it takes
takes
a
a lot
decent amount of
for
discipline
sure.
for sure. Doing anything physical
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
repetition.
And like for example, in hockey, when a child enters travel hockey, it's a huge
Okay.
commitment from the parent, right? Because it's it's 5 6 days a week. You're three practices, probably 3 4 games a week. You got to travel, you got to go. Games. Sometimes tournaments are 6 7 hours away. If you're at a higher level, you might even have to take flights to Canada and all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So, how's the commitment level, in your sport, and how do you kind of work with the parents to be able to keep up with it?
I've had that type of experience with rhythmic gymnastics for many, many years.
Mm,
And it's similar to the way you just explained hockey to be, but you've mentioned 3 4 games a week.
mm,
So when competition season would start, and then also let's say rhythmic camps would start for we're talking about a higher level rhythmic gymnast, you're definitely making a big commitment and taking a huge time, a big portion of time away from your life. So this is now a job. I
mm.
mean, me, I'm her coach, I'm their coach. So it's what all those other parents that were traveling with me each time. They did make that commitment.
Right.
Talking about could be up to 10, maybe let's say at least 5 competitions for the season that starts in about December and finishes, let's say, in June. And then you have camps throughout summer and camps also in the winter. It's an ongoing thing.
So, Sarah, what about you? And you mentioned your dad not watching you fight. How do you help when now that you're coaching and you have these
Mhm.
kids, right? And their parents are standing there watching. I know my brother was actually bringing his son Oliver to Borodins for a little while. They moved to Jersey now, so it's a little harder for them. But how do you like? How do you help the parents, or what do you talk to them about in terms of getting, preparing for the sport, and then also if you see the kid is talented?
As far as I'm concerned, most parents that bring their kids to the gym, they don't mind to see their kids get hit. Sometimes they want the opposite, especially if it's like a trouble kid and he needs some discipline, and they would wink at, the coach and be like, give him hell, and you would put him against somebody who's more advanced just to, put him in his place so he listens to mom next time she tells him to do homework.
Yeah.
So my dad wasn't like, he would put me in the gym and just you're on your own. He would take me when I was younger, but like after 12, 13, I was just back and forth. My gym bag over the shoulder, back to the gym, I'm fighting next week. Okay, bring me the tape. You know, I wouldn't want my father to watch me fight. I would, he's got a sensitive heart, and I wouldn't want to jeopardize. I've given enough hell to my parents. I don't want to give them extra stress. Even then, I was a bad kid. As growing up, I was bad. I was a troublemaker. Remember
Yeah.
that movie, Dennis the Menace? He
Yeah.
had nothing on me. Trust me, he had nothing on me. I was more like that trouble kid, the red hair one, who was redheaded stepchild from hell.
Well, I tell you, like, growing up, when I was doing martial arts, with you in Muay Thai, you were one of the inspirations for us, for the kids in the school. Because I remember I watched the fight. I think it was maybe Noenium. the theater. There was a fight about, uh, if I remember correctly, either that or Atlantic City, one of those. And I remember we went to watch, and
Maybe
you know,
Mohegan Sun.
maybe, yeah, and we had,
Mm.
but I did had a couple of fighters
Yeah,
in there, and I remember, I was like, maybe 15 years old, and we were watching, you guys compete, and it was,
it was
you guys were like,
exciting times. Yeah,
yeah,
for
I mean,
sure.
it was amazing, the amount of work and the effort, and then just getting into that rink. Like I know I wrestled in high school and college. I wrestled D3 in Hunter. Um, but it's a little bit different because collegiate wrestling is a little bit more conformed. But even that, I know for myself, before every fight, I was so nervous.
The rush,
And
the
then
adrenaline rush.
wrestling, that's it. Like I forget about it.
Of course,
But
after the throw the first punch, that's it. It's out the window. Of
yeah,
course,
but like that, the 10 minutes before was like
it's
the
the waiting
most
period that
appreciated.
gets you. They're
Yeah,
like, come on, I'm tired of waiting. Let's do this already. You know,
yeah, yeah.
kind of
So
like I am right now. I don't know if I can make it till April. I want to fight already.
So what's your preparation ritual like when you're getting into that preparation mode? Maybe just talking a little bit about nutrition, music. How do you get ready? How do you calm yourself?
Well, right now, honestly, I'm gonna try. I try to take it slow. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm in Borodins gym 8 to 10, 5 days a week. But like, if I get banged up, then I'll take the next 3 days off sparring. So I'll just work the bag. I gotta preserve myself right now. I'm
Mhm.
not getting any younger. I can't afford an injury. I want to be ready by April. Even if there's no fight lined up on April, I want to be ready in case there is. So my main goal right now is to get into that shape like I was like 5, 6 years ago. When I just came home, it was in the best shape of my life. I was 34 years old, and it was in a much better shape than when I was a professional fighter at the age of 25. Much better shape.
Wow.
If I can remotely get close to that shape, I'll be a beast in the ring again. Maybe more so. Who knows? You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now just avoid injuries at all costs and just get in shape. So little rope, little cardio, little weights, little bar, sparrings a few times a week, bag work every day almost. Also, I've adopted this new thing I'm doing. I'm sure you've seen it. The rubber ball and the
Mm.
headband with the string, and it's just you hit it, it comes back. It's like you can speed it up. It really works on your hand-eye coordination. Like really got into it. I honestly I got pretty good at it, and I would recommend it to everybody. Like even her daughter is exercising with that thing, and it's a game changer. Like I drop my phone before it hits the ground, I'm able to catch it like in
Oh
an
wow.
instant. Like it really develops that, you know.
Yeah, I actually saw it. I was thinking of getting it for my kids, so because
Yeah.
I got I set up a little gym in my house. I have a punching bag. I have
Mm.
the gloves, the things for kicking. So like I
Yeah.
tried to set it up so I can work with
Music is
them.
important too when you work out.
So
Music
what's
is
your
very
favorite?
important.
What do you usually listen to?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm old school. I like classic rock. I could hit it back for 45 minutes to listening to a Rocky, soundtrack. That was actually the same soundtrack I used to enter K1 tournament, and they hyped me up. So it really hyped me up the first two fights. You know, I think that's actually was the reason why it was a knockout in the first and the second fight because this music got me so hyped up. I was flying over the ropes, literally flying. You
Right.
know, so yeah,
That's nice.
I
Yeah.
Mm.
mean,
What
yeah.
about nutrition and what do you do in terms of just that kind of preparation?
It's funny you mention it because like Roshen and I actually we've adapted this style. I mean, we start eating our first meal around 4 p.m.
Okay.
Um, Most people, let's say 10,000 years ago, caveman era, you wake up, you gotta make fire, you gotta go catch food, you gotta put it on fire, you gotta cook it. Before you have a cup of coffee, it's 3 hours already.
Right.
Then you eat after you cook your meal. So we're not designed to wake up and shove food in our faces. So what I do, I start eating at 4 p.m. and that way we could still keep it in an 8-hour window and finish eating at midnight and not feel guilty about snacking before bedtime. Because we still do intermittent fasting for another 16 hours. I know it might not be the healthiest choice, but it works for us, you know?
Right.
And also, like, we eat clean. It's mostly salads, fruits, vegetables, lean protein,
Meats,
you know?
seafood.
Like, I stay away from sugars, sodas. I mean, don't get me wrong. We'll pig out
We'll
once a
cheat
week
here and
because
there.
mentally you gotta be right in the head.
Right.
You gotta give yourself
Weekends.
breaks. Yeah, once a week, you know, pig out. But yeah, we pretty much eat clean, intermittent fasting. You know, maybe that's why we really don't feel our age because of the lifestyle we chose. You
You
know,
know, I love that you kind of flipped it upside down because most people do the breakfast thing, you know,
Yeah.
most important
yeah.
meal of the day and then don't eat
New
after
studies
7.
now. New
Yeah.
studies. I saw it with my own two eyes on TikTok. So it works.
Yeah, no, this is pretty cool. I love that, you know, that you guys have your own approach to training and it kind of comes a full circle. You know, when it gets into nutrition and then obviously working out.
I mean, abs speak for themselves, right? Can
Right.
you show? Can you show your abs?
No, I'm not
No.
showing you.
All right. Check out her bio. She has abs in
I
there.
have good
Yeah,
abs.
she has abs.
Will do. Um yeah, no, but I think that that point is so good to drive it home in terms of just the all around athlete. Like it's not just being in the gym, it's not just eating the right food. It's a combination of everything
Yes.
to get you to where you want to go.
True.
You know, and so I know you mentioned a little bit about we talked earlier a little bit about, you know, pressure and just, you know, in terms of preparation long term with this fight. Does you know, intermittent fasting and going through all these growing pains, does that add to that pressure or the opposite? Does it calm you down more?
Actually, it becomes like a regimen. You know, it's like this is the path you choose, and you don't even really think about it. You just go forward. And it's just if that's the way you have to eat to feel good, to feel great, and to be able to do all the activities you want to do, then it's a small price to pay. You know,
Right.
it's like it's no longer motivation, it's discipline. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. And so when you're working with some of the younger athletes, you know, like guys, kids of younger ages, do you put them on the same kind of regiment or do you
I
recommend something?
never I never try to I never try to force the hand. You know, I would recommend if they ask me if I see they're interested,
Mhm.
I'll open up. I'll tell them. I'll share my knowledge. But if I see they're not trying to really eat right, they're good the way they are, I'll leave it alone. I'll throw a suggestion here and there, you know, to see how they respond. But I'm never trying to force it,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. Russia, is that the same for you? Are you
She's more
more?
strict than me.
Yeah.
If I need to skip a meal, I'm gonna skip a meal.
She
You know
can
what I mean? If I need to, like, if I know that I need to be a certain amount of weight to do a certain trick easier, or
three
if I
days
have
no food, no problem.
some photo shoot, or if I need to, what, easy, like water and coffee.
Yeah.
I'm
But you
I'm not saying it's healthy.
right.
If I need to make some weight the way they have to, I'm gonna do it like that. And he's lost a lot of weight now. Like he's doing really good, like incredible results. He almost has a six pack. He has two of them on the top already starting. Why don't you show
Four,
yours?
four.
Why don't you show yours?
Nah, maybe
Show
when
yours.
when I have six.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah. No,
But me skipping a meal here and there when he sees that, I notice
Mhm.
I
him
hate
then
it when she does it. I hate it because she
he
gets so
skips,
angry.
yeah, but then it motivates him to skip a meal. And then he'll be like, oh, babe, I skipped a meal last night. And I'm like, okay, very nice. He's like 4 pounds lighter today. That was just last week.
Just last week. Seems like yesterday.
I don't have to lose any weight. I don't need to be on a diet. I like to keep the structure as
I
is.
still do.
But for his sake, I mean, there's no other way to go. We're constantly together. If I'm going to be eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, he's going to be 200 pounds.
Right.
Maybe
I mean,
215.
yeah, because he
That was
eats.
my
He's,
worst.
you know what I
215.
mean. And now it's
Uh,
already
I'm like
170.
I'm 175 now. Yeah,
yeah.
175?
yeah.
No,
In my clothes.
172.
In my clothes.
172.
I
He's
want to
not
be.
170.
I want to be comfortable at 165. That
Yeah.
was my best
Oh
friend.
wow.
You know?
160, 165, and he's almost there. So,
Yeah. I just
Right.
don't want to rush it. I want to keep my power. You know. I want to take it
Yeah.
slow. Every dog has its day.
Yeah.
You know.
So let me ask you guys a little bit about, and I started discussing this topic a little bit lately, a little bit more about something I call kitchen talk, and this is something that I see parents do, where they kind
mhm.
of bash the coach or bash the
Oh,
organization where they train in the kitchen,
yeah.
and they think their kid is not hearing, but he does or she does, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And it's always negative. It's always, hey, this guy, he's not kicking high enough. My kid should be kicking, right leg more than left leg, or
Yeah.
so, and
He's
they
paying
always
more
kind of,
attention to that kid than my kid.
right, right. Oh yeah, that he has his favorites or she has her favorites, and all that kind of environment in the house. At least in hockey, what I see is that it negatively impacts the athlete. The athlete doesn't respond to the coach, does acts out, and sometimes even loses interest in the sport altogether. I want to get your
Absolutely.
thoughts if you've
The
seen
kid
that.
doesn't want to be between two fires. Clearly, yeah.
Right?
I hear what
So
you're saying.
have you seen that as a coach now?
Of
All the
And
time.
course.
All
yeah,
the time.
Always.
Yeah.
and so what do you have an approach to it? What do you usually do?
Just try better.
You just
I
have to
mean, you
try
just have
to,
to, like, you know what I mean? Just try
yeah,
harder. I mean,
smooth the
we're all
corner out.
parents. We're parents too. We're sensitive. We want everybody doing the best with our kids.
I mean, you can't make
And we're
everybody happy.
coaches. You
You
will,
can
but just
try.
try very,
You can
very
try.
hard.
But you
Try
can.
and work harder. Just try very hard. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right. But do you guys set uh expectations for the parents? Like, here's what I see as a coach, and here's
Mm.
where I see your child going, and this is how I think we can get there. And
Mm,
if you do, how much buy-in do you get from the parents when it comes to that? I think when a parent brings a child to a sport, they are looking for a professional to tell them how do we get from point A to point B, right? At least
Yeah.
that's what my
They
approach is,
want reassurance too from the coach, of
mm-hmm.
course.
right?
You want to see where the money's going. Is it going to
Right,
thin air or I'm raising the next champion, you know?
Mm-hmm.
right,
I don't promise them anything. I stopped doing that a long time ago.
When there's less expectations, there's less
Uh,
questions, I
right,
guess.
there's always a very common question, especially from like a recreational member and a non-competitive parent or with small children. Are we gonna go to the Olympics? Are we gonna be a national
Is
champion?
my
Are we
kid
gonna
good
make the
enough?
national team? Is my and they bring you a peewee, 2, 3 years old.
Yeah.
You know
Mold,
what I
mold,
mean?
mold him.
Or like
I'll
they
be
think
back in
that
10
you're like
years.
a magician. Я привел ребенка.
English.
I brought my student to Roshen. That's it. She's gonna be snipping and snapping. You know what I mean? 2, 3 years old. Looking at what did she just in a split? Okay. My answer. I'm like, you brought your young daughter to me first time to rhythmic gymnastics, dance club, whatever it is. And you want me to tell you these things. I'm like, I'm going to tell you this much. I'm going to do the best that I can to make your daughter um,
The best version of herself.
be beautiful,
right,
have a nice posture, learn some new skills. And once we're able to build a good foundation for her with beauty, flexibility, balance, coordination, then we're going to see what's her best route. And then we'll talk.
right.
My
I love
job
that.
right now is to teach her how to walk without. We're walking now
Right,
because she's still wobbling in a diaper. You're asking me if we're going to the Olympics.
Hmm.
This
right.
happens a lot. That's
Yep.
why I have it's like already built in my mind. It's a very typical question.
Yeah, and I love what you guys said earlier about setting expectations. How a lot of times the expectations are really what drives disappointment. If you think your kid is today going to the pros, uh, you know, and he's not amounting to that at the age of 7 or she, and you kind of disappointed in the fact that they're not, the highest performing athlete on the ice. And sometimes you have like a late blooming child that at the age of 15 they really open up and become a fighter, right? Sam, you talking about going pro. You said 17 or no 24. You went
17,
pro,
yeah. When my first professional fight was in England, I was 17 years old. That was 1997. It was a long
right?
time ago.
Yeah.
And actually, 17 is like a magic number here. My last fight was 17 years ago.
Wow.
I went pro at 17, and I fought 17 years ago. So,
Yeah. It seems like it's the right time.
yeah, but I mean, it's now or never. You
Right.
know, I'm 42 now. Like, when am I gonna take another 10 years off? And it's
Yeah.
now or never.
So one other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about a little bit is how to overcome mistakes, or how do you deal with mistakes, especially in the fight. There could be, you could make mistakes throughout the fight and still
Keep
win,
on going.
It's
right?
funny you mention it because she asked me a question
Yeah.
today. When you hit somebody like a
Mhm.
bag, do you get mad and imagine it's like your
Like,
opponent?
yeah, like
So
why
you
do
could
you
hit the
do
bag
it?
harder? I said, no, you cannot get mad. Because when you get mad in a fight, you make mistakes. When you make mistakes, you get knocked out. You know?
Yeah.
So you gotta
Yeah.
be very cold blooded in the ring. You cannot let the aggression get in the way. You gotta be really humble. You sometimes some guys, they miss a punch or two, and now they're playing get back. Let me catch my opponent. He just got me twice, and now they're putting their hands down. They're rushing. The adrenaline's going through their blood, and boom, see you later.
Right.
So yeah, you you gotta be really on your A game when you're fighting. There's no
you know
room for anger.
I love that you said that, because I think in hockey, we try to talk about um, these situations with the kids a lot, but it's a little harder because when it doesn't go your way and you hit a post or you miss the net, or
Mm-hmm.
it's just things that are going, kids are getting frustrated, and it's hard for them to keep their cool.
Right.
They start as you said, they get more angry and then they make more mistakes, and it's just a vicious cycle. And I
Mm.
feel like in martial arts we are taught exactly that. We're taught to just calm and collected, and the minute you're off your game, it's pretty much
Yeah.
over. Like, you
It's
have to stay cool. So I when I coach hockey, I actually bring a lot of those elements that I learned from Borodin and from other coaches in martial arts to hockey, to coaching that. I feel
no.
like
I agree
that's
with you. Absolutely.
important.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
like.
that's cool. It goes a long way to life.
Yeah, and it carries over. Like, people think that on one of my previous episodes, I was talking about how I draw parallels. So, like, when we punch and we turn our hand right at the moment of impact, when you shoot the puck, you also close your blade. So your body mechanics are very very similar, but instead of punching, you're shooting, right?
And you
And
guys get to fight a lot on the ice, and you don't get in trouble
it's
for it.
right.
Absolutely love this sport. I should become a fan of hockey soon.
Yeah, I think you are a fan of
Have you,
hockey.
I've never,
We
I've
like
never been, I've
hockey.
never been to a hockey match ever in my
oh,
life.
I have to take you.
Can you
Here's
I'm
your
introduce
gonna
us,
chance.
take
Here's your
please?
chance, buddy.
We would love
Yeah,
to.
I'll introduce you to her. Yeah, this is
No,
my
I
mission
was
now.
all my life. I was in Thai boxing, and
Right.
then
You
other
know,
places.
yeah.
I've never had time for any other sport. I've never been to a baseball match. I've never been to a basketball game. I've never been to a hockey game. I've only been to fighting events and circus and movies.
Oh, speaking of movies, tell me
Yeah.
about this.
Speaking of movies,
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
tell me about this movie you're in, which is pretty
oh,
Brighton
awesome.
Ford.
it's called Brighton Fort,
Mm-hmm.
and I got it. I got there as an actor purely coincidentally, and I was like not really at the top of my game. I was like one of my earlier phases when I was partying hard, but it was a
Mhm.
perfect role for me because I had to play a Russian mobster who presses somebody over a gambling debt. And, we get into words over the table, and then I beat him up. And I have a little bit of dialogue. So nobody ever thought it would go anywhere. It would take off. A few years later, I hear we made it to Tribeca. Now it's on Hulu. Now it cost me $10 just to see my own movie.
Recent developments.
So sometimes just things just happen.
Yeah, that's
And when
pretty
you work for it, they happen way more often, as far as I see it.
right. That's such a great point. I think, if you asked me 10 years ago that I would be a hockey coach, I'd think you're crazy. You know, I started, I got lucky because I started skating with guys who were played professionally in Russia and stuff like that.
That's how you
And
grow.
right, and I started training with them. I would wake up 6 in the morning before work, 6 to 7:30 in the morning. I would go. We would skate and practice. I would shower and go to work for like 2 years straight. And my kids were coming up. My older one was 4 at the time, and I was like, I want to try coaching. Well, he was still 2, so it was 2 years before he started skating. He
Wow.
started at 4, and they had these spring programs they would run. So they got me on the ice. I started coaching. I liked it, and then I did it for a couple of years as much as I could, free. No expectations, no nothing. Just trying to get experience as much
Hmm.
as I could while I was still practicing.
Wow.
And then now
Like
it's like,
loving it.
yeah, and then now 10 years into it, I've been with the Rangers for it. This is my fifth year,
Wow.
and
Good
it's
for you.
but it's exactly what you said. Like if you work in the same thing and you keep
Mm.
working at
You
it,
gotta love what you do. When you
right?
love what you do, you will go where you need to be. You know, you just
Yeah,
gotta work. You just gotta work for it, and you gotta want it. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. I
All
love
three
that.
of us have a passion for the sport. Each, each its own, but same passion.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
so before it kind of like, I know we're coming up on the hour here, but I did want to touch more on fear of failure. And I think that that's something that
Mm.
sport really helps you deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Being afraid of doing something like we just talked about. If you want to become a coach or you want to, become a fighter, uh, sometimes a movie star, right? Like how
A
you're
little
so
bit of both. Why not?
right, right.
My
Like
father
you think
always
it's
says, a talented person has to be talented everywhere.
Absolutely.
You know?
love that. I love that. Yeah. But so, in that transition, how do you overcome your fear of failure, and how do you help your students do it?
I try not to think about failure. I'm very spiritual and I'm big on law of attraction.
Mm,
And I don't want to attract things I don't want to see in front of me. And I just believe whatever is meant to happen is gonna happen. You just gotta go forward. Like my fear of failure is not being in the ring, not making it to the ring. This is my fear. Competing is my main number one goal right now. I don't care. Like I mean, I hope I win.
right.
Obviously everybody wants to win when they enter the ring, but not entering the ring is not an option. You know what I mean?
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rasha,
It's
what about
now or
you?
never, like I said. It's really
Mhm.
now or never. And if I don't do it now, I'll never forgive myself. And that's gonna be my fear of failure,
Right.
not doing it.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one because for most people, uh, I don't know if they agree. I 100% agree with you, and I have the same perspective. The fear of
Mhm.
not doing it or not competing. I'm really keenly afraid of regret.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like saying, "Hey, I should have done it, but
I
I
have enough
didn't."
I have enough of those. I don't want another one.
Right,
You know?
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Actually,
mean I
what?
can't make up for all the times I lost, for all the time, but I can definitely not lose more,
Right,
you know?
100%. You gotta start somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Roshan, what about you in terms of how do you deal with that fear, and if you have it, and then how do you help the kids get over it?
She's fearless. She's a shark.
Yes.
I think you helped me with that a little bit.
She got ballsier in the past 3 years.
Yeah, I
Much
think
ballsier.
there's definitely something.
We've been
with
together the
his-
past 3 years. She got
there's-
really
it's-
ballsy lately.
There's something about his energy, and especially now that I see him for the best version of him. I never got this Seva before. He says that I'm always there for him, but at the same time, it's like he's dedicating his life to me and like making my wishes come true. I wished for him to fight again. He said, "Okay," you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I wished for him to be there as my support system. It's everything. So he definitely brought out a more driven version of me. And having him behind my shoulder definitely makes me feel safe.
That's
She
amazing.
sleeps better at night.
You know,
So-
I've been becoming more and more popular, and so are my kids.
Yeah.
So there's definitely like a fan base that's kind of like growing. He keeps that also in a very in a safe zone.
Right.
And he really manages that part of my life very, very well.
Everybody got to stay in check.
He does, you know what I mean?
So can I ask you guys, how did you guys meet?
Oh.
I had to do it. You knew I had to do it.
Well, if we
Why don't you
want
go ahead.
Seva and my uncle sat in prison together.
And we're
Okay.
also from the same city. You know?
Yeah.
And he did time with my uncle back in the old days.
Yeah.
So like we go way back.
They were together for 3 years.
And then we bumped into each other at his funeral.
Not his funeral.
No,
Seva
yeah,
actually
yeah,
got the way my uncle was dying of cancer, and Seva had just gotten out after his first bit. And he came to visit him in the hospital when I had just left, and he died 2 days after, and we all were
And I got
waiting,
locked up
and he
again.
got locked up again right the day before, right on the funeral.
So we bumped into each other a year later at the
at
cemetery.
the открытие памятника.
And we just that's not when it started. That's when we just bumped into each other
Yeah.
and like we kind of gave each other the look, you know. But it's like, you know, we
No,
were
you asked
mourning.
me if I'm.
We were
asked
mourning. We were
me.
mourning her uncle, my friend. You know, it's like we just, you know.
I remember you asked me something.
Yeah, I asked her. I'm like, "You're this guy's wife, right?" And she thought about it for a second. She's like, "Yeah."
Well, I was going through a divorce, and it was like very early stages, and it would have been just very not nice if I would say that
But
I'm not. You know what I mean?
so we met again.
Yeah.
Like, how long did it take?
It took a long time.
2 years.
It took a long time.
Yeah, 2 years later.
No.
No. How long? A
Well,
year?
I divorced
2
in
years?
2017, and 2019 we started dating.
So 2 years. Yeah, 2 years later.
Mhm.
You know,
If it's meant to be.
if it's meant to be, it's gonna be.
Well, we've crossed
Vice
each
versa.
other's paths many times in life, but kind of just like.
Never visited me in prison. Never.
Oh
not
my
once.
God. I was married.
She was married.
Okay, and he was also,
I'm just.
mind you, he was so much when I was just started running around the neighborhood. He was so much older than me still at that time. Like
so
you
much
didn't even
older
pay any
than
mind
me.
to me.
Yeah,
Uh huh.
she was too young then.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
5 year difference.
Full 6 years.
6 years. Excuse me.
How dare you?
I'm sorry.
How dare you?
I'm gonna regret this one. I'm gonna regret this one.
Uh-oh, I got you in
This
trouble.
thing
That's awesome.
This is my
Listen,
fear number one. I have no more fears. I only fear of one man. My son, me, and I'm afraid, a little bit afraid of her. That's it.
Wow. Good. That's respect right there.
that's the relationship right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I know we're a little bit over the hour here. I always like to finish off the show with a few rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask you a few quick ones, and you guys answer whatever pops in your head first. So first one is, what is your favorite quote or motto that you live by?
Me or her?
You first.
Let's go. Yeah. See how we go.
I actually have this quote in a book that I wrote. Uh, there's a lot of doors. There's a lot of doors out there. You just need to open your eyes to see them. You know, there's a lot of opportunities out there. Open your eyes. Go through that door.
Yeah. Roshan, how about you?
No matter what you do, make sure it looks beautiful.
I love
Actually, her
it.
favorite quote is "Love, real, true love never fails."
Okay, fine.
That's her favorite
All
quote.
right.
I
But
can bring you the display. It's
Okay,
in the
it is.
kitchen.
It is.
I
It
can
is.
show it to you.
It is.
but I like the make it look good part.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
funny. I was at the a coaching seminar, and one of the guys came out and said, he had a picture of this guy who's wearing, really beat up skates, like broken helmet. He's like, don't be that guy. Like, look good while you're coaching. Look good doing it. Like, don't be that. Yeah, don't
Yeah.
look like you just came off
Lead
the
by
street.
example.
Right.
Uh,
All right, question number two. If you can share three things that you would suggest that every parent does when raising an athlete. So, Roshan, why don't we start with you this time?
Raising an athlete. What does every parent do?
Three things.
Three things they should do.
What they
What you would
should.
recommend, yes. What you would
What would
recommend.
I recommend? Number one, try your best to leave all teaching outside of the home.
Like that.
Number two, try your best not to threaten the athlete to get them to do something, and don't bribe them either.
Oof, so guilty
That
of bribing.
definitely, okay, it's not my first rodeo. I keep on mentioning that over and over, but I've done that with the first one. Second one, there's a much more positive emotion in all of her sport disciplines, and it's working. Number three.
It's already four. I'm joking. I'm joking. Go ahead. Because I only have two, so you take the four.
Influence them that they are not average humans. Influence them that and really break down the importance that an athlete works much more and spends much more of his time doing something during the day. So we're physically just way more active, making us, I don't want to say more special than the average person, but more stronger than the average person. So I think it's very important that your child understands that they're special and that they're working for something because they've been gifted talents. And that's what we're doing to enhance them.
Right. Confident.
Yeah, those are my.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
It's
I
gonna be
have,
hard to beat those.
I have like a lot of dads come to me and be like, "Can you spar with my son?"
Okay.
I'm like,
Mhm.
"Sure. Why? Why do they want me to spar with their son?" I believe contact sports builds character, and athletes need to know what pain is, whether they can take it or not. From early stages. So why do they want me to spar with their son? Because they know they will grow by fighting me, by sparring me. I will teach them in the process. I will hit them, but I will not hurt them. You know, and it's very important to be able to teach the kid, especially during the sparring. Sometimes, because sometimes those youngsters, I got 20 years on all of them in
right.
the best case, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to hit them to put them in their place, but then you got to show them what they did wrong. So it's not about emotions, Like, number one, you got to toughen your kid up because they will learn respect. They will learn to respect you as a parent. They will learn to respect their peers, their teachers, their youngsters. They will grow up into decent human beings with proper discipline. So this I like martial arts because it actually brings discipline and respect to the household. The
Right.
kid brings it from the dojo. There's no other way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What about
But
number two?
ah,
That was
I
like
don't want to.
three and
I
one.
don't. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't
That
want.
was three in one, huh?
repeat
That
the
was
things.
Korean one.
She took the best ones out. I don't want to repeat the things she said, but whatever.
You had a good one.
Whatever I said, like
was
it comes
good.
with A, B, and C,
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
There's
Right.
lots.
I'll let you get
What's the
away with
next
that.
question, bro?
I'll
I
let
mean,
you
he
get
has to go
away.
to practice.
I'm
All right.
Look at the time.
Last
I'm
one.
having a great time. They can wait for me. I can
Right.
go to the gym at 10:30 if anything.
Okay.
That's right. You're gonna, the best come last, right? It's always you guys show
I
up.
like to come for sparrings. You can never be too late for sparrings. They're at the
Yeah,
end
that's
of the
because
practice.
he's lazy.
Right.
He doesn't want to work.
No, it's not because I'm lazy. I just came out of match point from a private session. I was holding pads for an hour.
Yeah,
You know,
but
I'm
you
still
need-
sweaty.
Doesn't matter.
You know, and
You
the
have
guy's
to
like
get abs.
6'5". He hits like a mule. He kicks like a mule.
Out of chip.
Yeah.
Fat chip.
Shout out.
Yeah. I
2 weeks
actually,
from privates. Stas
yeah.
and Archik.
Aww.
I don't
You
know
have to
if,
say let me mention Nino now too.
Nino.
Come on. Ну, я Диму
Yeah.
уже тогда.
Дима.
Come on. Андрюша.
Ну, уже
come
хватит.
on,
Андрюша.
come on.
Андрюша. All right.
yeah, I don't know if you remember Slava Golubov. He used to, me and him and my brother used to train together. And we used to go to Borodin together, all three of us. And Slava was a kickboxer. And the first day I met him, it was in judo, and he came in and we had the big pad, and I was like, all right, why don't you kick it? I'll hold it for you.
Mhm.
And so I'm holding it, just kind of like lollygagging. He
Yeah.
kicked it, and my hands went right into my mouth, and I'm like bleeding all over. And I was like, shit, I really didn't expect you to kick like that hard. So I know exactly what you mean. That was like my thing. When you hold that pad,
You didn't
you
expect it.
you
Yeah.
get ready. You
There's
get
a way
ready.
to hold it. I mean, you learn the hard way, but
Right.
most people learn the hard way how to hold pads properly.
Yeah. Oh, I think we cut out. Oh, I think we're cutting out a little bit with the connection. Oh,
Can you hear me now?
yep. You guys are back. There's a little crackle. Oh, you're out again. All right. Coming back. Coming back. All right. I see you guys. You're back.
Yeah.
All right. Last question here. All right. So, what motivates athletes in your opinion?
Results.
What?
Results.
Yes. Когда что-то получается.
When you start winning,
Mm-hmm.
when you start winning those fights,
Yeah.
as you see yourself grow
Mm-hmm.
as a fighter, as an individual, as you see yourself get better with time, you self-motivate. It's motivational. You want to get better. You want to know, can I get even better than I am right now? You want to see if you can get there. It's interesting. But it's like self-discovery in a way,
I love that.
Yeah.
That's hot. I like that. I love that.
Yeah.
Like
Well-
even now, I see myself as a different fighter as I was 17 years ago. Like I think differently.
Mm-hmm.
I think more during a bout.
Mm-hmm.
I notice things I haven't noticed earlier. Like I have a totally different mindset. When you're in your 20s and you're in your 40s, you're two different people. I'm a different fighter. I believe I can be a better fighter with proper training than I ever was then.
Right.
I strongly agree with that because I have front row seats and
To the boot camp.
yeah, and the way he was being very modest earlier in this conversation. Seva's ready to fight today. He was ready to fight yesterday and a month ago. The way he moves, his new technique, he's fast, he's smart. He's showing one thing, but he's doing something else. He's throwing a move here, and now he's already over there. He's like Superman in the gym.
I slipped on the floor. It was wet.
And I mean, it's like, and that's why when he says, I come there for my own entertainment too, because he's an incredibly entertaining fighter. He's actually dancing too.
Well, I'll tell you what. When you do
He's
schedule,
dancing, and he's moving very fast. He's getting low. He's high. Change of level. A lot of change of
My
level
personal kung fu.
in his body movement.
I'll tell you one.
Punching at the same time.
When you schedule that bout, please let me know. I'd love to come and support you, and be there in the stands with you when you're doing it. I think it'll be
He might
pretty
be
amazing.
overseas.
No.
We might have to get
no,
him into
no,
Rush.
no, no, no.
I mean, listen, I drive anywhere, you know.
Let's try.
I have 3 kids. I've driven to Florida about 4 times at this point, so I put some miles on those tires.
Okay, you can probably take a drive to Japan.
Or Dubai.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know. I'm sure there's a boat that I can park my car on, and it just
um,
it's gonna take me 5 days. But
I mean, you can tell them where your first fight is gonna be.
I mean, hopefully it's gonna be locally somewhere. I don't
It's
want to say yet.
Okay.
I don't want to name the place yet because you know the permits are not ready to be signed yet. But it's probably gonna be somewhere in the 11235 area.
That
You know,
kid, I hope
locally.
you understand what that means. I mean,
yeah,
I fought there before
that's
many
it.
times.
There you go.
This
So,
is
I
the
mean,
this is the
clearly
goal.
This is not a secret.
Make the comeback in the
Not
same
secret.
arena, like a smooth transition
Yeah.
before a takeoff.
Yes.
God willing.
How many rounds? How many?
We'll see.
I'm taking bets now.
oh, right. So if you guys, if
That was a
anybody other,
joke.
No
It was a
gambling.
joke.
That was
It
part
a
of the
joke.
problem.
It was a joke.
Gambling was part of the problem.
No, but I will be his cheerleader. I'll get
Yeah.
you a whole crew of cheerleaders. How about that?
Yeah.
well, I'll definitely be on the lookout for the information, and I'm sure that my brother and some of the folks here from back in the day would love to come and watch you fight and kind of hang out a little bit and catch up in
Let's
person.
do this.
Yeah. Maybe I'll make it out to the gym one of the days. And Borodins is
We'll
still on
come
East 22nd
to
and
the
Z.
ring.
How about today?
Oh, I wish I got the 3 crazies upstairs.
Take them with you. Take them with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just might. We got, you know, I didn't plan, but yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna figure it out.
You know, show them your roots. You know.
Yeah, I pulled out some old martial arts medals and trophies the other day, and you know, from like back in from school and when I was in wrestling and taekwondo. Because I have a black belt in taekwondo, I used to teach that a little bit. Yeah, so yeah, so we were versatile. We used to love the sport, love the martial arts. So yeah, so definitely we're gonna make it happen. I know you gotta get to your practice, and
Yes.
I've been cooping you guys up for over an hour. Really appreciate you guys coming on. I think it was absolutely
Thanks for
great.
having us.
This was really cool. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Yeah, thank you guys for jumping on. I think that your stories go a long way, and I think it's very important for people to hear different perspectives from different sports.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a
Alright, well-
pleasure, Ilya.
Thank you guys, and thank you everybody who was listening and joined us. The audio will be up shortly as well on all the podcast platforms. Apple, Google, Spotify, and all those good things. So if you like to listen to it on your commute, you're more than welcome. As always, if you have questions for Seva and Roshen or myself, you can send them across through DMs or direct messaging on Instagram, Facebook. You could email me at thepodolskymethod at gmail.com, and I'll be sure to pass them along to our guests and have your questions answered in a timely fashion. Thank you again, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, brother. Good seeing you.
You too.
Have a good weekend. Somewhere?